Sunny. I want to talk about anime and its influence on Mechwarrior, the game we all love and enjoy to play. Anyhow, let's go way back a bit when FASA, which is the creator of Battletech, which was originally called Battle Droids, from my understanding, but George Lucas was going to sue them over the name Droid, so they changed it to Battletech. When they came out, they didn't design their own mechs from scratch. They actually went to some anime out there and licensed the anime designs and mecha designs from these companies, and they were given freehold to use the designs in their mecha. And a lot of you might already be aware of that. So let's take a look at some of the different shows that would have influenced us. First one, of course, and probably the most famous, is Macross. If you don't know, Macross did come to North America. It was a license agreement between Harmony Gold and I think Sunsetsu or something. They took Macross, but because of syndication, you had to have, I think, 95 episodes to go to syndication for 5 days a week program. They took two other series and mashed them together and did some creative editing, and that's what became Robotech here. However, because of Harmony Gold owns the rights to Robotech and Macross, we have not seen the sequel like Macross 2 or Macross Plus or Macross 7 that did come out in Japan, which is a shame, I think. They're a really good series, and you should check a look at the mecha from that. They're pretty awesome. But you'll see Macross had a huge impact on Battletech or Mechwarrior. I use those words interchangeably. Another one I'm going to talk about is Crusher Joe. Not too many on the mecha side. They have more influence on the ships and the fighters that was part of the Continuum set that was called Aerotech, which worked with Battletech, so you can have fighter jets flying in and out in space or so on, and work in conjunction with the dropships, and then you would have the mechs. And probably, in my opinion, more influential was Fang of the Sun Dogram. And not too many people have seen that. In fact, I've never actually watched that one. I caught a bit on YouTube. It's an interesting series. If you're interested in just for the nostalgia of it and seeing where the different ideas for the mech work came from, this one is very influential. I think it probably set the foundation for the mech world universe that we have today. Anyways, let's look at Macross. Iconic, absolutely iconic mechs here. You should know. Well, mainly in the original Battletech, that we had the Wasp, the Stinger, the Valkyrie, the Phoenix Hawk, and the Crusader. They were actually all just one fighter. It was the Valkyrie in Macross that could transform, but you could attach on mecha. It was a transforming, so it turned from plane to a plane with legs, and then to a battle droid. I think the Phoenix Hawk is still around and it's still iconic, and I really love it personally, playing it in stealth mode. The other ones, we have the Rifleman, the Warhammer, and the Archer. They call longbow. That one were Battleoids in Macross. They were used on the SDF-1 as defensive AAA kind of batteries, and again, that they were pretty iconic mechas. And finally was what we call the Marauder. It was the Zentrani Officer Pod. It was like their spaceship with legs and arms sprouted onto it. So it's pretty interesting design. And yeah, it's like you can see those mechs had actually disappeared for a little while from the game. They've come back because they made a new licensing agreement, and hence why we can play them again, and they came back. But for a while, because there was an argument between Harmony Gold and the Japanese provider, and I guess whoever owns the rights to Mechwarrior now, there was a dispute until that was all hashed out. Okay, let's talk about the next one. Crusher Joe. It has one mech in it that's iconic. We know that that's a Lotus. This was their, I think, scouting device and transferred around, and it's iconic in Mechwarrior. Now, Crusher Joe had a lot of influence. If you ever played the Aerotech Compendium, a lot of the ships, even the drop ships, it came from Crusher Drill. It made perfect sense. Like they took this was all in space, and it was very interesting. Now, what's interesting, Crusher Joe is they had a prequel to Crusher Joe, and that was called the Dirty Pair. And if you look on the city map, there's a girl walking, and that was I believe Kay from the Dirty Pair. And the link to his Crusher Joe is Kay and Yuri were the Dirty Pair. It was a team. They call themselves the Lovely Angels. Yuri had a son, and that was named Crusher Joe in the series. So this takes place a little bit later, and that's where that mecha came from. Okay. More on the spaceship side and the dropships. That's coming from Crusher Joe. Now, I will argue probably the biggest influence is Fang of the Sun Duglam. You got the Shadowhawk, the Griffin, Wolverine, Thunderbolt, and a Battlemaster. I mean, even today with the new mecha designs, it's very much in the same style of the mechs from this series. And yeah, I would argue to say that this series is probably the most influential to Battletech and Mechwarrior as it is. Now, the other ones, especially the Macross one, are iconic, but I think every subsequent series has taken a cue from the mech designs from this one. You got, in that series, you got the Shadowhawk, you know, the Griffin, Thunderbolt, Battlemaster. It's just, you know, they're iconic. And, you know, with the missile packs and the artillery pieces and the guns, it just suits the Battletech world. And the other thing I would actually highlight, if you ever watch the series, it's a very old series. You can find it on YouTube, but you know, it's not licensed, so I'm not going to be providing the links. But the animation style is from the early 80s in Japan, so it's very different from animation today. That being said, the story's interesting. It takes place on an alien world that's rising up against the Earth Empire. So they're trying to seek their freedom and free their planet. And if you read about early history of Mechwarrior, about the rise of the houses, how the Soul Empire, it's very much coming from this anime, I would argue. These people were trying to rise up against an Earth Empire. They had Mechs, you know, and it's like the early Earth Empire eventually collapsed, and then rise of the 5 noble houses. It seems to fall into that time period, which is interesting. I can't, you know, 100% back that up, but it fits. It does seem to fit. Anyhow, I just thought I'd share this information, and if you're interested, you know, you can search around YouTube and take a look at the episodes, and they're great anime. You should check them out. Alright? That's all. Thanks for watching. Bye.